Good morning. Welcome to the Foster Swift Sports Talk podcast. I'm your host, Dave Russell. I'm joined with my co-host, Tony Delamonte. Today we're joined with a very special guest, Abby Russell. Abby is a lacrosse star that plays for Haslett High School. She recently signed with the University of Pittsburgh, where she'll play lacrosse next year. More importantly, Abby is my daughter, so I'm really excited to have her on today. Abby, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Very special guest.
Very special guest, absolutely. So I'm going to go through some of your accolades, which there are many, and I know I'm going to miss a couple of them, but just a few. You've been named first team All-State as a freshman and a junior. You've been a two-time Lansing State Journal Dream Team awarded for that. Last year, you were the Lansing State Journal Player of the Year. You led your high school team to three straight state semifinals. They've only been to three state semifinals. You played on the number 5 ranked club in the country, Next LC, which we had Coach Candace Bassell on a few episodes ago. Last year, you were named USA Lacrosse Academic All-American. You were also named USA Lacrosse Athletic All-American. And you also play 2 other sports. You run cross country, where you've been all league 3 times, and you play basketball as well, and looking for a deep run this year.
Yes, state championship.
That's the hope, right?
Yep.
So, and I know you've obviously followed the podcast. You know, we've talked a lot about recruiting and what it looks like, and you obviously have a unique perspective. You've just went through it, and so we just kind of want to talk about that, and where that recruiting journey started for you.
So I'd say it started in 7th grade. I played for a club out of Grand Rapids called MLXA. In 7th and 8th grade, I played for Coach Mackenzie Lawler. Now she coaches at Florida State, and she coached at Grand Valley previously. That was my first experience kind of going out east, and I actually played up with high school girls, so I got to see some of the better competition, and then things started getting really serious when I joined Next, going into my sophomore year, and that's when things kind of really took off.
So in terms of recruiting, was it helpful for you to just see the older girls who are going through the process so you knew what was going on? And it's kind of a question to both of you.
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely helpful, but everyone's journey is different, so you never really know what to expect. But definitely just getting all the different perspectives and learning from them was super beneficial.
Well, and the other thing that you had was Abby's older sister, Reagan, like I've talked about on the podcast, played at Kent State. So she was, I think, 7 years older than what you are. And so she, you kind of watched that, and she kind of helped guide that a little bit as well, that journey for you.
Right, for sure. And she was my coach. She coached me freshman year of high school. So just having her to lead me, and even when I was younger, just playing catch with me in the front yard and just developing my skills, I always looked up to her. I thought she was the coolest person ever. I just wanted to be just like her, so I wanted to go play college lacrosse like her.
Well, and the other thing, in Michigan, lacrosse maybe is not as big as what, say, a basketball or a volleyball or something like that. So I don't think you see as many girls getting recruited or going off to play in college. So, from my perspective, you had Reagan, like you talked about, Coach Lawler, who's at Florida State now. Those were 2 people that I think shaped you from a young age, that you looked up to and you worked a lot with.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's some things also that you kind of just have to figure out on your own, like all the training and stuff. There's not many girls that I can just go out and shoot with and get reps with, so I got to just do some things on my own and just watch videos and, like we talked about, learn from Coach Mack and Reagan and people like that.
When did you start playing?
I started playing in 2nd grade. I played for a East Lansing team because Haslett wouldn't have me that year, so...
and at some point you started playing out east, right?
Yes. So 7th grade was my first year going out east. I think we probably had 3 or 4 tournaments out there. The competition still wasn't amazing, just because we were in lower divisions. But my first time experiencing playing against the best of the best was going into my sophomore year that summer. I'll never forget the first tournament. It was crazy. I'd never experienced anything like that up until that point. The speed of play out east is just so much faster than it is here, and the girls, everyone out there is good. So it's extremely hard to stand out. I remember after that first tournament, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. We were both a little concerned, I think, but we stuck it through, and it ended up working out. So.
Well, let's talk about how you ended up on the next team, which was the number 5 ranked team in the country. How did that happen?
So it was the winter of my freshman year. I hadn't even played my freshman high school season yet. I have this lacrosse Instagram page, so I post some highlights and videos and stuff like that, trying to just get some exposure. And Coach Candace came across that page just kind of randomly. She was scrolling through her Instagram reels, and she sent me a DM. And at first I was like, is this real? Because if you're in the lacrosse world, pretty much everyone has heard of Next. So we started talking, we got in a call with her, and then a couple weeks later, I went out east to get evaluated, and then I ended up on the team.
So when you started playing with them, you mentioned it was sort of eye-opening. The speed of play is faster. It sounded like the skill level was something you hadn't seen before. When did you realize, hey, I can compete with everyone as well? Did it take some time to adjust? How did that work?
It definitely took a couple weeks. We started going to a couple practices. I think just getting to know the girls too helped a lot. So then they started having some trust in me. And then I realized shortly after that I was able to contribute to the team. So.
One other question I had on the club team is, these are girls probably from all over the country, right? So how do you develop team chemistry and figure out, find your way to fit into the team? Was that an adjustment?
It was hard at first, but everyone was just so welcoming, and our coaches always said that we were like the tightest knit team that they've ever had. So I made some of my best friends out there. So just being able to compete with them was such a blessing. It was so fun. And it was definitely hard at first forming those connections with those girls, but it was very rewarding.
And as far as reaching out to college coaches, can you talk about when you started doing that and what that looked like and what was allowed, what wasn't allowed?
So I could send emails at any point to any college coach. They just couldn't send a personalized email back. They could send camp invites, but they just kind of send those to everyone. So I think I started emailing coaches in 8th grade, which probably was a little bit excessive, but I got a head start. Coaches really start looking at your emails the summer going into your junior year. So our coaches made us send 50 plus emails every single week. So that was very tedious. And
was that Next coaches or school?
The Next coaches,
okay,
yeah. And they all had, it's called IWLCA. That's the platform that we email the coaches on. Our coaches had access, our club coaches had access to that, so they could see if we were sending emails or not. So that was not my favorite thing to do, but had to be done. And I think it helped a lot.
It's one of those tedious things that you have to do in the recruiting process, and I a lot of times would be like, Abby, did you send the emails? Did you send the emails?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
It's like homework, it sounds like.
It was like homework. It was not fun, but I did it, and it paid off.
Well, and one of the things that club coaches would say is you need to try to personalize each of these to the coaches to show that you have a genuine interest. Well, when you're sending 50 emails, that's a lot.
Yeah. So would you do research on the school or the program ahead of time and try to change around those emails as best you could?
Yeah, I would. I would try and add in at least one little fact about the school that I was somewhat interested in, so they would know it was specifically to them. And then just kind of talking about myself, that I'm interested in the school. Yeah, they also have a lot of emails to read. So if you're just sending them, that just kind of shows that you're interested.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any feedback from a school being like, yeah, I received your email in 8th grade when you were in 8th grade, or not really?
No, not really. I don't think that really, it was probably good practice for me, but I probably did not need to do that. I think my dad probably made me do that.
And that wasn't just me. I think Coach Lawler was having you do that too.
Right,
and really,
sure.
I think that was, good practice for what you ultimately needed to do, when you got closer to that junior year.
Yes, definitely.
And you were also doing prospect camps, correct?
Yeah. I don't remember my first prospect camp. It was probably middle school, I think. I went to the University of Michigan prospect camp. But the summer going to my junior year, we had prospect camps probably every other day for a couple weeks.
Wow.
And it was all day, blazing hot. But those were honestly some of my favorite events because you really just get to like show your personality to the coaches, and I think that's a big part of what they look for when they're recruiting players. So, I just love to meet new girls, scrimmage with them. It's just fun playing with different people, especially girls who are some of the best in the country.
Well, and you kind of talked about this a little bit, but from a lacrosse standpoint, the coaches can't talk to you till September 1st of your junior year, right? Mm-hmm. So how would you know that coaches had interest or they were looking at you?
So Coach Candace would reach out to me and tell me this school has general interest. That was kind of the basis of it. And then eventually she started saying this school is super interested and stuff like that. So I kind of knew whose list I was higher on and who just kind of had like some basic interest in me.
So what does that mean? Were they talking to your coach and being like, we love Abby, once that September 1 starts, we're going to be talking to her sort of thing?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Coach Candace has a ton of connections, and she was doing all the behind-the-scenes stuff. So I don't really know what that looks like, but I know she was talking to coaches 24/7 about all the girls on my team.
Well, in this IWCLA, did I say that right, page that Abby talked about, it's this recruiting platform that does a really nice job where you can send these emails and do all these things. But another function that it has is if a coach looks at the player's page, it sends a text and an email. So I didn't realize this even existed. Yeah. So they really don't start looking until fall of your
sophomore
year, right?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be right. And so fall of your sophomore year. So we're out east at a tournament, and she's playing the first game, and all of a sudden my phone's like blowing up in my pocket, and I look down, and like all these coaches are looking at her profile during the game. So that that was interesting. They actually changed the function because it was distracting to the players during the tournament. So now I believe the way they do it is you can't see until that Monday who looked, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, so mid-tournament, you're either at a game or getting ready for a game, and that all these coaches are watching.
Yes. I mean, you can see
it's a little stressful.
It is definitely stressful. You can see them on the sidelines, obviously, but after the game, you're immediately checking your phone to see who's looking at you. So
Right.
Yeah.
I could see why changing that to the Monday after would be a good function.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
But in the other part of that is, so when was the first time you saw coaches on the sidelines?
So it was the first fall tournament of my sophomore year because most of the 2025 girls were committed already. So I remember walking out of the field and just every college coach you could basically imagine was on the sidelines, and it was the most insane thing ever. And at one point, our coach had to call a timeout to tell us to stop staring at all the college coaches because we played horrible that game. We were so just stressed out about all the coaches, and then we kind of settled in and got used to it. But it was very interesting at the start.
Yeah, when she says that, she means it. I mean, basically every Power 4 coach from a women's lacrosse team is standing on the sidelines of that first game, and these girls walk out there and really never had a coach on the sideline before, and so it's extremely intimidating. And so from that point for Abby's team until the end of their summer going into their junior year, most games were like that or had a good amount of coaches there.
Right, for sure. Because every game we were playing, we were ranked anywhere from 5 to 10 at the point I was on the team, but we were also playing other teams who were ranked top 15. So those are the games that coaches want to see. But I think definitely we sort of got used to it, and you don't even notice them after a while. But yeah.
What was the message from the coach that first game? Be like, hey, is this going to happen? This is why you guys are out here. Just focus on playing.
Yeah, I remember coach telling us it's just one slice of the cake, and just every single game is just one little sliver of the cake. This isn't going to determine where you're going to college just because these coaches are watching. You can make a mistake. It's okay. They're going to come to a lot more games. So he was definitely very comforting in that aspect. And then we also had 2 collegiate players that were assistant coaches, so they were super helpful as well in talking about their recruiting journeys and stuff and just helping us.
Hearing it from someone else, I feel like helps a lot as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And so to kind of go back to the high school team, did coaches come watch high school games?
No, unless it's a state semifinal game. I think there was like Kent State was at our state semifinal game, and maybe Central Michigan, and then I'm sure coaches go to the state championship game. But other than that, there's no coaches at the regular season games.
In Michigan, anyway.
Yeah, not in Michigan. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty strong message if you have someone who is looking to play at the next level, and you're considering whether or not to do one of these club teams. I guess you guys both would probably be strongly in favor of it, especially if you're in Michigan and not out east.
Strongly in favor of
the club team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of one of those things because out east it's such a hotbed for lacrosse, and you don't really have that here in Michigan. That if you're really serious about playing high level, then you're likely going to do that, which is difficult because that means you're spending in the fall and in the summer almost every weekend out there. In fact, Abby and I lived out there the summer before her junior year.
We did live out there. We called it Olympic Village.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's a huge commitment for not only for you, but the families as well. So, I guess it's par for the course.
Right. So, Abby, talk about that living out there. What was that like?
It was definitely interesting. I think it was a good experience. I just got to compete every single day with like my best friends, like I said earlier. So that was super fun. At that time, I had 2 broken bones in my foot. So that was super hard, not only physically, but mentally as well. Because I knew like this was my chance to get recruited this summer. So just like the stress of that really kind of weighed down on me. So that entire June was really hard, I think. And I was sort of doubting my recruiting process, but I think in July things started to pick up. My foot started to feel better. I had a couple really good camps, really good showcases. So, I mean, I knew that summer definitely paid off, and living out there was probably one of the best things that we ever did for my recruiting.
So where is that? Is that in Philly?
Yeah, just outside of Philly. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was for me. That was a really special time that Abby and I were just out there, and I've obviously talked in this podcast a lot about lacrosse, and I love watching Abby play, and so we obviously missed everyone else in the family, but it was really cool. So every weekend she's playing in high level tournaments with her club team, and then basically during the week she's doing prospect camps. And like she said, she had that injury, which made it a little bit difficult. And it's always hot out there too.
It was very hot. It was like 90 degrees every single day.
So would the prospect camps be like you guys would have to travel to those? I would assume they're not all in Philly.
No, I mean, most of them are on the East Coast. We do, Villanova had a camp, and sometimes they would be what they call showcases where there were multiple teams there. Like USC did a camp out there. That's actually a good story. USC had a camp out there because not a lot of girls are going to fly out to California.
Right.
Most of them are out east for the summer. So USC reached out to Abby. I think you had a DM or something on Instagram.
It was a text.
It was a text.
Yeah.
Invited Abby to the camp. And Abby had been at a Penn State camp, I don't know, a few days before. So we get to the camp, and I'm sitting in the car, and she's out in the field, and I look out, and I'm like, what is she wearing? What does her penny say? She's wearing a Penn State penny the whole
Oh, no.
I forgot my club penny. That was the only one I had. That was not my best moment.
So USC didn't offer.
They did not reach out. No.
They didn't call at all.
That's all right.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be. Exactly.
I didn't want her to go that far from home either way, but I was like, you got to be kidding me.
So you started to say things heated up a little bit. What does that mean? Were you getting more calls from coaches? Were you guys starting to get offers?
Coach Candace was texting me more, just notifying me that I had general interest. I think it was after there's a showcase called Juniors Open, so you actually get invited to play in that. You get placed on a team with just random players, and then coaches are there. It's a week-long showcase. I ended up playing really well there, so after that tournament is when general interest really came flooding in for me.
So how did Pittsburgh come to be?
They were interested pretty early on, and they were one of the schools that Candace had said they have a lot of interest in me. So I ended up going out there for a camp. I actually went out there with my sister's best friend who lives in Pittsburgh, stayed with her. My parents couldn't come, but I really wanted to go. So I went to the camp. I played really well. I had a blast. And like I said, you can just kind of show your personality at those camps. And I just interacting with the players and the coaches, I had so much fun. That was my favorite camp by far. And then I kind of talked to the coach after that camp a little bit. They can't really say much to you, but I just felt like the interaction was good, and I was pretty confident about that one. So she called me on September 1st, and we had a nice talk. I went out there on a visit with my brother Jack. My parents were out of town for that as well, so they had never been to Pittsburgh.
Guys.
I know. We'll get into that. Let's back up, though. That September 1st for lacrosse is a big deal. So kind of walk us through what that looks like.
So the week leading up, you have a call with Coach Candace. She kind of tells you what to expect, but still your mind is just going a million miles per minute. I honestly did not know what to expect. I remember the day leading up to September 1st, the day before it, I was the most anxious I've ever been in my entire life. I was just trying to find things to do to like keep myself occupied. And then it was like 11:50. We were all standing in the kitchen at my cottage, and I was just pacing back and forth, like about to cry. I was like, no one's going to call me. It's going to be so bad. And my parents were like, it's okay. You'll be fine. So I put my ringer on, set my phone down, kind of walked away. And then right when the clock struck 12, I started getting notifications from coaches. I probably got texts from midnight to 2 a.m., and we kind of scheduled our calls for the next day. I had some calls, my highest priority calls on September 1st, and then a couple the next couple days. Just talked to coaches. They got to know me, asked some questions about their school, and then started scheduling some visits from there.
So September 1st hits, and she talked about at midnight, gets a lot of texts and calls and emails and scheduled these. So that day, it was probably from 8:30 a.m. till 5 p.m. She's on either a call or Zoom with college coaches all day long.
That's crazy. Is that just how it is? The clock strikes midnight and it's gangbusters to try to get... Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not for everyone, but I'd say for everyone on my team and all probably the top maybe 30 teams out there, girls are getting notified at midnight. So it was crazy.
That's stressful.
And talk about what those calls or those Zooms were like. What were college coaches talking about?
So they kind of give you an opportunity to ask questions about their school because, I mean, they're trying to impress you as well. So we kind of go through that. I would just ask them like where they see their team when I get there, what role I would play on their team. I would also ask them what position they're recruiting me for because actually a lot of coaches wanted me at different spots on the field, which was interesting. So those calls were normally about 45 minutes to an hour. And then I just kind of, after the calls, we would text back and forth about visits and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And when you're talking about visits, what you have an official visit and a regular visit. What can you talk about what those are?
So you can take an official visit, which is paid for by the school, or an unofficial visit, which you go there, you do your visit, but you pay for it. So the visits I went on were official visits, but I only ended up going on 2 visits before I committed. So.
And what visits were those?
Can I say both schools?
Sure.
I went to Pitt and Ohio State.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
How many did you have scheduled?
I had, I don't know how many. I had University of South Florida, Florida State. I was going to go to Loyola, Rutgers, Villanova, UConn. There's probably a couple more. I don't know. Yeah.
So you have the calls and the Zooms on September 1. Did you schedule the visits for like the following week? Like what's the time frame look like there?
So I had school, so we were trying to schedule them on weekends and stuff. But I knew I wanted to go to Pitt first, even though my parents weren't there, but I wanted to get there as fast as I could. So that was my first one.
Yeah, so her brother Jack takes her out because Heather and I had scheduled a trip and just kind of hadn't thought about the fact that would be a weekend for official visits.
Yeah.
So Abby goes out and loves Pitt, absolutely, and she loved it from the camp, and we hadn't gone to the camp either. So neither one of us have ever stepped foot on campus at this point. And she comes back and says the coach. Well, I'll let you tell what happened after the camp.
After the visit?
Yeah, after the visit. Did you get an offer at the camp?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So we had brunch on Sunday morning, and she was like, "Abby, can you hang back for a little bit?" And I was like, "Sure." She was like, "You're our number one recruit right now. I'd love to come out, have dinner with your family, so we can talk about an offer." So she ended up coming to our house for dinner. It was super nice. It was awesome.
That's cool.
And that's kind of like when I really knew. I was like, "This is love. This is where I'm meant to be." So she offered me there at my kitchen table.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
It was really cool. So walk through. So recruits that are looking at official visits or have that in their future. What did that look like? What was your visit to Pitt? Because I know you raved about that visit.
So they wined and dined us. It was
Well, there's no wine, but yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. They put us in a hotel, one of the nicest hotels in Pittsburgh, probably. Is awesome. And then we did a tour of all the academic buildings and obviously all the facilities. And then we got a nice photo shoot and stuff and jerseys. That was sweet. They took us to dinner on like the Pittsburgh incline, so we got to eat dinner overlooking the city. And then the next day, we ended up getting to watch the team scrimmage and practice, so that was super cool as well. And then just getting to know the team, getting to know the coaches, stuff like that.
Do you get to hang out with the girls and the current team on those visits?
Yeah, I think we had lunch with them. So,
Okay.
And that was nice because we got to ask them a lot of questions and talk about their experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah. How long are the visits? Is it like Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
That one was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yes. But I think it differs from school to school. And, girls have school, so if you need to go to a one-day visit, then you can do that. They make adjustments for everyone.
Which, we did. So we went to Ohio State. That was a one-day visit. Like, we just drove down and drove back.
Yeah, we went to Ohio State on a Friday, I think, and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then we're coming back from Ohio State, and what did you decide at that point?
I knew at that point that I was going to go to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there were some visits scheduled, and what happened next?
So I was supposed to go to Florida State in South Florida over the weekend. I knew I wasn't going to go to Florida State just because they were a startup program. I love Coach Mack. I really wish I could have played for her, but they weren't going to give me as big of a scholarship as Pittsburgh. And we probably should have went to those visits because my Pitt deadline didn't end until Monday. But I kind of had my heart set, and all my teammates, not all my teammates, but there was a few of my teammates that were already committed. And, as a 17-year-old girl looking through Instagram, I'm like, I have to commit right now. Yeah. Like, I was kind of just comparing myself to all these other girls who are committing, when in the grand scheme of things, it's like 20 girls out of all the girls who play lacrosse in the entire country. Right. So I probably, looking back, I would have just kind of slowed down, taking a deep breath. But at this point, I wouldn't change anything. I know I'm where I'm meant to be. So,
but talk about that, because I think that's a big thing as far as when you say like seeing other girls on Instagram, like your club team that you played with. Where did most of those girls end up?
We had a girl go to Maryland, 2 Virginia commits, Loyola Maryland, Virginia Tech, Georgetown, a couple FDU.
Boston College,
yes. A couple Delaware, 1 Hofstra. I don't know if I'm missing any.
I'm sure you are, but
yeah. Mostly
all were going D1. And
right.
As people are committing, what are they doing during that time? Like in that after September time frame? They're posting it on Instagram, right?
Right, yeah. So seeing all those posts was probably, I think even my dad can say this, it kind of sped off the process for me, which probably shouldn't have let that happen. Yeah,
and Coach Candace talked about that it's a lot of, it's kind of a bad thing about the Instagram thing, because you're in the middle of it and trying to make a decision, and you're seeing all these different recruits. And like Abby said, it's not a lot of recruits when you look at the grand scheme of the entire country, but
it feels like it because these are people that you know and you play with.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, it's not just her team, but they kind of play the top 20, so she knows most of those girls. She's been at, prospect camps with them, so she kind of follows all of them.
So what was the pressure that you're moving too slowly, that you need to make a decision soon?
Yeah, honestly, I was just pretty anxious to make my decision. Also, at that point, when you're talking to all these coaches and you're in school, and I was running cross country at the same time, it was a lot on my plate. And that's a big decision to make, deciding where you're going to college, like before all of your classmates and peers. So I kind of just wanted to get it over with, although the process was definitely a blessing and it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. I wanted to go to Pitt. I knew that's where I wanted to go.
Well, it sounds like you're confident in your decision, which I think is the important thing.
Yes, 100%.
And I don't want to talk about what school it was, but on September 1st, on one of those calls, you actually had a full ride offer from on the spot right then.
I did.
And
that is true.
How was that?
That was so surreal. The coach actually FaceTimed me.
Wow.
No other coaches FaceTimed me, so that was interesting. All coaches.
At 1 a.m?
This was during the day. I think
okay.
She must have texted me at midnight and then called me later. But that was so cool. I think my mom started crying. She was so happy. It was awesome. It just shows like all the hard work paying off and just all the camps and the tournaments and all the hard times. It was really rewarding. So
what outside of playing high school, which you've had a lot of success in high school, and I had a lot of fun. I mean, we're talking a lot about club because as far as the recruiting process, I think that's important. But you had a lot of success in high school, and you really had a good time there and a good experience.
Yes, for sure. I love high school, even though the play is a little slower. I love just playing those league games. It really matters, and when you're in the tournament and you have to win to advance, like those are the games that I love because it's still so competitive. And I mean, just playing with all my classmates and just getting to go to practice with them after school and just hang out with them and just do what I love the most. It's super fun.
So you started, and you had a lot of success your freshman year. You guys make it to the state semifinals. And I think I've talked to you about this, Dave. You were probably a little under the radar when you started freshman year in terms of other teams scouting you. When did that shift happen where everyone knows Abby Russell and they're game planning you, and what was that like?
So my first high school game, I ended up scoring, I think, 7 goals. I think I had 10 points that game. So that's when I kind of knew, like, okay, I can do this. Like, that's when I really knew, like, I can go to college for this, and this is something that I'm really good at. And that year I actually had the help of an incredible senior, Briar Fennick, and she kind of helped me as well. And she was getting heavily scouted too. But I think after the first few league games, people kind of started talking. And that's after that. It was kind of an adjustment for me, getting double teamed and face guarded and all this stuff, which I had to deal with for the rest of high school. So it's definitely good that it started then.
And you guys have had a lot of team success as well. And you've got your season coming up here in a couple months. What are you thinking for the senior season?
I'm hoping to advance past the state semifinals because we've kind of been stuck there the past 3 years. Every time we get there, we're not very competitive in that game. So definitely hoping to be competitive and then go to the state championship this year.
So outside of high school and the club, what kind of workouts do you do?
So mostly I train by myself. I just go out to the field. I shoot and dodge every single day for an hour and a half. And then I play wall ball, which is basically just throwing the ball against a brick wall and catching it and just doing a bunch of different things with my stick, trying to get comfortable in different spots with my stick. I do that for about an hour. And then a lot of weight training as well. And then I also train with Nate Schaefer at 3D. He was on the podcast as well. Yep. He's gotten me a lot faster and a lot more athletic, so he's been a huge part of my success.
So what advice do you have to other young athletes that want to go play D1 lacrosse? Like, what would you say to them?
I would say you just have to be consistent. It's hard going out there, especially when it's cold and when you've had school all day and you're tired, but you just have to put in the work and you have to do it every day. And it doesn't have to be too extreme, but just getting the reps in, repetition is the most important thing, I think. And at the end of the day, you're not going to really feel like you got better from going out and shooting one time, but just stacking days and just keeping at it and chipping away every single day, pounding on your craft. That's just what you got to do.
Yeah, and I think what you said says a lot about you, that, you're not someone who's being pushed by, either your parents or a coach or something. You're putting in the work by yourself and JT Rogan, who we've had on the podcast, I think he said people overestimate what they can do in a day or a week, and they underestimate what you can do in a year. And so just those hours every single day that you're doing, I have to imagine that has, you've seen those results on the field when you go out there, and I'm sure you feel more comfortable out there as well.
Yes, 100%. I've seen it pay off in so many ways. And like you said, you don't really see it pay off until, there's a big moment in a game, like a year after you're starting your training and stuff like this. But I think it's definitely essential, and you just kind of have to do it for the love of the game.
When we had Kamo Mockery on, who Abby's friends with and knows her well, she talked about having those habits when someone asked about or telling her that they want to play D1, and she asked them what they're doing to get there, and do they have those D1 habits? And I witness it firsthand every day. I know you do. I've seen Abby shoveling off a field in the winter so she could go out and play, which you're thinking there's no way you can go out and play in this, but she still does it.
Yeah, I think especially here you just got to figure out ways to get better, and just I'm constantly just watching YouTube videos or watching film on other players, just figuring out how I can level up my game, because especially out east everyone is good, so you have to find ways to stand out.
So you talked about 3D a little bit, so I want to give Nate Schaefer a little bit of love, because I think he is an important aspect of your training, and it really has done a great job. Like, what has that done for you as an athlete?
It's just helped build my confidence a lot. Playing in the ACC in college, I know I have to be fast, and going to him definitely I've gotten so much faster with him, and I've gotten stronger as well. My change of direction's gotten so much better. Also, he's just helped with my mindset. Like sometimes I'm having an off day, or I had an off game maybe the night before I go to him. He's talked me through some of those tough times.
And I think the mental component is really important as well. You're doing all of the things to get your body and your skills in the place to go perform, but if you don't have the mental side taken care of, that can hurt your performance. So besides Nate, is there anything that you're doing to make sure that you're focused and you're locked in, every game? Yeah,
so that's actually been probably the hardest part for me through all of this. I think starting in middle school, I was already kind of a head case when it came to basketball. So
all athletes are head cases.
Dave's smiling.
So I worked with a sports psychologist for a while. He helped give me some techniques, and just realizing that this, performance anxiety, it's normal, and it's something that I can play through. And you have to first acknowledge it. You can't just turn away from it. And I think for so long, I was kind of just turning away from this and trying to hide from the fact that I was so nervous and scared to go play on the field every single time, even though my body knows what to do. So I'm still not, my mind could still always get stronger. Mental toughness can always get better, so I'm still working at it. But it's definitely something that's improved for me over time.
Well, and I think you really saw it when you first went out east for this club team, and there was a little bit, I guess I call it imposter syndrome, that you kind of had a little bit, like, do I belong with these girls? Because right away you can tell, like, she probably has a couple girls that she played with on her club team. They're going to play in the Olympics someday, and wow, that's how good they are.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, for sure. And going out there, I probably did have the capabilities to play with them right away. I was a good player even then. But my mind just wasn't in the right place. And, it's hard. I was coming out of my freshman year of high school, so it was a lot to deal with. But got through it. You have to put in the work just like you do on the field.
Well, and there are good players here, and you have Kled Charcot.
Yeah,
she just committed to play at St. Joe's not too long ago. So there, and like you mentioned, Briar, there are good players, but overall, most of the girls that you're playing with in Michigan aren't looking to go to that next level. So playing here, you really stood out, and you were always, for the most part, I can't remember a time where you weren't the best player, at least in my mind, on the field. So to go from always being that best player to go out there where these other girls are, just as good or even better than you, that really was an adjustment.
Right, it was. You might be a little biased, but
I am a little biased, but I think that's a correct statement, because you get out there and you've always been the best player in every field, and it's like, wow, these girls are good and they're fast and they play fast.
It was definitely an adjustment. And then even being out there and coming back here and playing at the slower pace, that's an adjustment too. So I'm constantly just having to, adapt and play at different speeds and play at different positions as well, because here I play midfield and then out east I play attack. So
is there something that you're working on for this coming season to try to improve or focus on, because you've obviously had a lot of success, but like, is there something in your mind that you're like, all right, this is what I'm going to work on this season?
I'm just every day trying to be the best version of myself. You can't be better than your best on the field. But I think specifically working on the draw controls. I've worked with Maddie Champagne. She played at Grand Valley. She's incredible. Probably one of the best draw takers that I've ever seen. So I trained with her for a while before my last high school season, but just continuing to get stronger at that, because possession, I think, is the most important thing, especially here. So if I can get possession right off the bat, then that'll definitely help us in the long run.
One thing I wanted to mention, you talked about your weight training. What I just learned, actually this week, Abby told me she actually holds the Haslett High School record for the she can bench press more than anyone ever has at Haslett for women.
Any girl.
Any girl, yes.
Oh my God! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you give us the weight?
150 pounds.
Wow.
Yep. Oh
my God.
Can you do that, Tony?
I can, but that's my shoulders have been hurting me a little bit, so I might be feeling that one. So do they put your name up somewhere?
Yeah, there is a record board in the weight room, so that'll be pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. All right, good deal. Well, we're gonna hopefully that record stays for a long time.
I hope so. Yep.
Yeah. So what's the future hold? What can we look for?
Well, I'm gonna go play at Pitt. I'm looking to be a contributor right away. Hopefully win some championships there. I think the recruiting class that we're bringing in is super strong, and the class above us, I've played with them a lot. They're also super strong. So I'm just, super excited for this next chapter. And then also looking to high school season, hopefully making that state championship run this year.
So if you were talking to, say, a 7th grade girl that, wanted to follow a similar path to you and play D1, what's that advice?
I would say, like I said earlier, just stay consistent, work on your craft every single day, even when it gets tough, figuring things out on your own, but then also looking to those people that are older than you, your parents. My parents have made so many sacrifices for me, and they'll pretty much do anything for me to, get better and achieve my dreams. And then looking for coaches and watching film on older players and stuff like that, but also just like keeping the fun in the game. Because lacrosse has been something that's always been fun for me. When I played basketball in middle school, I kind of got burnt out. It wasn't as fun. So just, if you're not having fun, then, what's the point? So just finding gratitude in everything when you're playing, especially when you've been blessed like me with so many great opportunities. I think it's super important.
And one of the things you just talked about there is, basketball, because you played the AAU circuit, and you kind of thought, I think, at a young age that was your path, or and you were a good basketball player. But what I always tell people is that probably is what made you as good as you were at a young age, was the basketball. Yeah,
I would definitely agree. I thought I was going to go play college basketball, which obviously did not work out for me, but it's still like maybe the lacrosse player I am today, just the way you move in basketball. And then also I competed at a pretty high level at a young age with that AAU team, so that also helped me, I think.
And it helped you, meaning like the different movements and, just remaining athletic. I think we've talked about it on the podcast about that you can get too focused on one sport. And I think Nate Schaefer preaches it to you guys, just being an athlete and moving like an athlete. So is that what you mean by help you?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that, and I mean, I think the defense, the concepts are similar,
right,
and like how
similar.
you run your offense and things like that, and how you look at that. I think that helped.
Yeah, I think it helps with lax IQ as well. We talk about that a lot. Having good lax IQ is super important. So, and that's a thing that a lot of high school girls lack, I think. Yeah. And I think I've been blessed with that. My older sister played college lacrosse, so I was watching high level lacrosse at a young age.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I've been looking forward to doing this. We had the signing this week, and that was really cool. Wasn't
It was really cool.
I think we
Definitely
started the
blessing.
podcast for this moment, so this is a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. This might be why we did this. This might be the last episode. I don't know.
We're shutting it down now.
Oh yeah.
No, we'll have you back on when you win a state championship in basketball.
Oh yeah, for sure. With all my teammates.
Yes.
Sounds
There we
great.
go.
All right.
Awesome. We'll appreciate it, Abby.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.